This is one of the most powerful men in the world, and one of the few billionaires who has openly admitted that at one point he had dreams of becoming a messianic figure. This is George Soros. Born August 12, 1930 in Budapest to a non-observant Jewish family, Georgi Schwartz's father changed their name from Schwartz to Soros to avoid persecution from anti-Semitic Hungary. Fun fact, the name Soros is a palindrome. If you read it from the back to front, it stays the same. Back to the story. Soros was 13 years old in 1944 when Nazi Germany occupied Hungary. During this time, Soros delivered deportation notices to Hungarian Jewish lawyers. Today, we know those were not deportation letters, but a sentence to gas chambers. To survive the Nazi invasion, the Soros family purchased documents to say that they were Christians. This period shaped George Soros's later worldview, and of course, he said 1944 had been the happiest year of his life, for it had given him the opportunity to witness his father's heroism. I don't know about you, but something about that statement just rubs me the wrong way. Anyway, when Soros was 17, he relocated to Paris before eventually settling in England, where he studied economics and philosophy at the London School of Economics. Soros would also study under philosopher Karl Popper, whose ideas influenced George Soros to this day. In 1956, George Soros moved to New York City, where he worked as an arbitrage trader for FM Mayer from 1955 to 1959. From 1959 to 1963, Soros worked as an analyst of European securities at Wertheim & Co. During this period, Soros developed the theory of reflexivity to extend the idea of Karl Popper. More on that later. Soros began working at Arnold & S. Blake-Rober in 1969. He set up a hedge fund under Arnold & S. called Double Eagle, with $4 million from investors. In 1973, the fund had $12 million. In that very same year, Soros was running two hedge funds, Soros Fund Management and Double Eagle. This caused conflicts of interest, limiting his ability to run the two funds. Soros eventually resigned from Double Eagle. By 1981, Soros Fund Management, which was renamed to the Quantum Fund, had grown to $400 million of assets under management. Soros was one of the world's most successful hedge fund managers, which he proved once more in 1992 when he bet against the British pound and made $1 billion in profit. George Soros would get involved in many more trades similar to the British short throughout his career. In 2013, the Quantum Fund made $5.5 billion and $40 billion since its inception. Besides being a finance titan, George Soros is a philanthropist, thinker, author, anti-capitalist, and controversial man. You see, George Soros gets a lot of hate, mostly because of OSF or the Open Society Foundations. Through OSF, George Soros has funded regime changes, presidential elections, scholarships, and much more. Now, picture this, a Jewish billionaire who has been involved in the most important moments in the past 2 decades. I'm talking the fall of the Soviet Union, apartheid, and the election of Obama. Sooner or later, he was going to get labeled as part of the Illuminati. On October 22, 2018, a pipe bomb was placed in the mailbox at Soros's home. Similar bombs were mailed to Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, other Democrats, and liberals. The culprit behind the bombs was a man who goes by the name Cesar Sayok Jr. I think it's fair to say that George Soros is an interesting man with an interesting story. But now for the main course of the day, the Quantum Fund. The fund was based in offshore jurisdictions to attract international capital and operate with flexibility. In the first 2 to 3 decades of operations, the fund delivered extraordinary returns, reportedly averaging around 30% plus annually. It was one of the first hedge funds to operate on a truly global macro scale. Towards the late 90s, George Soros would take a step back and allow other notable figures, including Stanley Druckenmiller, to lead the fund. After 2000, performance became more volatile. In 2011, due to increasing US regulations, the Quantum Fund returned outside investor capital and transitioned into a family office structure. The Quantum Fund wasn't just buy low, sell high. Its strategy was a high conviction global macro system built around psychology, macroeconomics, and aggressive capital deployment. At the center was the theory of reflexivity, the key idea being that markets are not efficient, they are distorted by human behavior. For instance, investors form biased views, they act on them. Then actions move prices. Price changes altering fundamentals, creating feedback loops, e.g. trends plus bubbles. The Quantum Fund had a top-down approach. Instead of stocks, They traded currencies, bonds, equities, and commodities. Every trade had a similar structure: a small downside, massive upside, and high conviction. Druckenmiller described it best: if you see it, you bet big. They were aggressive but not reckless. Soros would never hope, and he'd cut losses quick. He would famously suffer back pains from stress, which he used as a signal to re-evaluate positions. People think the quantum fund was about intelligence or complex models. It was actually about conviction, timing, and size. In 2023, it was reported that Soros Fund Management had an AUM of $25 billion. But just to clear things up, the Quantum Fund is one specific fund under Soros Fund Management, which is the command center or the company.